You know what, K&S was here today doing some work, I wonder if they disabled that. I'll just put it on speaker on this phone, okay? Alright.
You're running late, Michael.
Alright, can you hear us?
I can, thanks.
Okay.
Calling to order our meeting, a regular city council meeting. Everyone is present with the exception of the mayor, who's on the phone, and Karina Pack, who's excused. We'll start with a pledge of allegiance by Roxanne Ferguson, and then Kip Myers will lead us in prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our gracious Father God, we thank you that you are here with us tonight. And we thank you, Father, that we can trust in you not simply as a slogan for our nation, but because you do provide, you do care for us. You do have an intimate knowledge of each one of us, even reminding us that you know the very number of hairs on our head. And so, Father, we just ask, because you've told us that we can ask for wisdom, and we ask for it for our council, that you would pour out wisdom, give them the guidance that would be a blessing to Holbrook and all who live here. We give you thanks for all that you do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Okay, we have a consent agenda for August 13th, our regular meeting minutes, and then also our work session minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review those? Is there any conversation? Is there a motion to pass the minutes?
Actually, Vice Mayor Nelson, I have a comment on the minutes.
Okay.
Just a clarification that was put on there. Last week, or last meeting, when we had the vote for the appointment for Roxanne Ferguson, we counted the vote from Councilwoman Pacheco with a proxy vote, but Lisa Hunt and I researched it afterwards, and the charter and our documents didn't have any provisions for a proxy vote. So the minutes should reflect that it was a 4-1 vote, not a 5-1 vote. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, because Roxy's here, so we.
Yeah.
Okay, with that correction to the minutes, is there a motion?
That I actually put that in the minutes, was it appropriate as I put it?
That
May-
should be, that is corrected. We just wanted to make everybody aware of that.
Okay. So as corrected, is there a motion to pass the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve August 13th, 2025 regular meeting minutes and August 13th, 2025 work session minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
I
Are there any opposed? Okay. Moving on to call to the public for non-agenda items.
There are none.
Moving on to call to the public for agenda items.
There also are none.
Now, is Mina Henning here? Oh,
I'm here.
oh, good. So Mina, we have a proclamation, and I was going to read that, and then we were gonna invite you to make a statement. Whereas, this is a proclamation, whereas the 94th Annual Navajo County Fair and Rodeo is a time-honored tradition in our community, bringing together residents from all walks of life to celebrate our rich heritage, culture, and agriculture roots. And whereas the Navajo County Fair has been a cornerstone of our community engagement, offering events, exhibits, and entertainment that reflect the values and spirit of our county, and whereas the fair provides an opportunity for education, competition, camaraderie, fostering a sense of pride and connection among the people of Navajo County, and whereas this year's fair will take place from September 10th through September 13th, offering an array of activities including the Beloved Rodeo, Demolition Derby, Little Buckaroo Rodeo, livestock shows and sale, arts and crafts exhibits, and family entertainment and carnival. Now therefore, speaking on behalf of the mayor, I, Kathleen Smith, Mayor of the City of Holbrook, Arizona, do hereby proclaim the week of September 10th through September 13th, 2025 as Navajo County Fair Week in Holbrook, Arizona, and encourage all residents and visitors to participate in the festivities and celebrate the spirit of our community. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Holbrook to be affixed this day, I guess it's August 27th, 2025. Signed, Kathleen Smith, Mayor of Holbrook. So with this proclamation now in our minutes, would you like to say a few words about the fair?
To Vice Mayor, Mayor, and City Council, on behalf of Navajo County Fair, I want to express our, thanks and our gratitude to you, all of you, and to the residents of Holbrook and stuff that support the fair and, continue to support it year after year. We appreciate everything that you do for us, and we, just want to say thank you for all that you have done and do for us. So thank you all very much. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your work.
You bet, thank you. And then, so do I pick it up or?
The proclamation?
Yeah,
I'll have to get it signed.
signed and,
And then I can get it to you.
just let me know and I'll come by and pick it up.
Okay.
All right, thank you all very much.
Thank
We
you.
greatly
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
it. Thank you.
Okay, that moves us to item number 8, a presentation by NACOG Route 66 Brownfields Grants Environmental Services Principal at Stanton by Dave Laney.
Right.
So Mr. Laney, if you would come to the podium.
Thank you. Glad to be here. I think this is maybe the second or third presentation on these brownfield grants over the last 13 years to City of Holbrook and the City Council, because this is the third grant that you guys have actually had access to. And Randy, you know a little bit about the last one, which was actually through Apache County, but Holbrook was included in that. Now, Northern Arizona Council of Governments has one of these, and Holbrook is again eligible to use this. So I'm happy to tell you all a little bit about this. Northern Arizona Council of Governments calls this the Northern Arizona Property Reuse and Revitalization Program, but it is funded by a U.S. Environmental Protection Agency Brownfield Coalition Assessment Grant. And it's $1.5 million. It was awarded in 2024. It runs through September of 2028. And there are 4 different coalition members that can use this grant, including Navajo County, Coconino County, Yavapai County, Mojave County, and all the cities and all the towns and all the property owners in that area. So both private property owners and public property owners, meaning cities and counties that have property can use this grant. And it's not an enforcement program. So if you are a property owner and you want to get an assessment with this grant, there's no obligation to do anything more than just sign up. And it's 100% paid for, the assessment with the grant. So there's no out-of-pocket costs for you. But the thing about it is, it's not an enforcement program, even though, yes, it comes from EPA originally. You don't get a phone call, you don't get a knock on the door, you don't get a letter in the mail. if you get one of these assessments, there's no obligation on your part to do anything more once you get the assessment. It's basically designed to give you information about the condition of your property. If you want to go out and sell it, if you want to get a bank loan to like renovate a building, if you want to qualify for insurance, sometimes you need these assessments. And again, it's no cost to you as the property owner. So it's really a great deal. And over the years, there have been several properties here in Holbrook that have taken advantage of this. And the most recent one, with this most recent grant, is Navajo County Fairgrounds. They just signed up in February this year and just got their reports recently, and it showed that things are pretty good out there. So that was very encouraging. This particular coalition, I said it includes a bunch of folks from different counties. Here in Navajo County, Chris Besters, the Economic Development Director, is the main person who's working with these funds, and so he's talking to all the different cities in the county to make them aware of the fact that this grant is available. Basically, this is a grant that is designed to identify, plan for, and provide technical assistance and funding to property owners who want to reuse, redevelop, revitalize their property. And although the emphasis is on underutilized and vacant property, sometimes abandoned property or blighted property, it does not have to be contaminated, which even though it is a brownfield grant and people think of brownfields as contaminated property, that's actually not a requirement. What EPA says is a brownfield is just anything that is either contaminated or has perceived contamination that impacts the ability for the property to be reused, redeveloped, expanded. And so a lot of these properties, they either have no contamination or they've got such small concentrations, nobody cares. And it's not an enforcement program, so that's a good thing. What all of them have in common is that they don't have a good documented history. So you look at a property that's old, that's been used for a number of years, and you don't know what it was, say 20 or 30 years ago, when maybe 2 or 3 owners back, it was first developed. And what that does is it scares away buyers, investors, developers, because there's a lot of uncertainty associated with older property. This will give you the assessment that actually documents what the property was used for historically. And a lot of times that frees it up, and then we have seen within a matter of weeks to months, a lot of renewed interest in some old properties that have been stuck for years and years and years. But again, brownfields, if you're familiar with that term, traditionally those have been old gas stations, old dry cleaners, automobile repair facilities, things like that. But with this grant, we do a lot of work on old schools, churches, hospitals, strip malls that have been closed, parking lots that, you know, nobody knows why they were there or what the building was that used to be there. The building got torn down, the parking lot's still there. It's a prime piece of real estate, it's in a good location, but nobody knows. Was there something there that we have to worry about? We do a lot of that kind of work. So there's a wide variety of different properties that get these assessments. In Flagstaff, we've done some work on the homeless shelter there. We've done some work on the theater there, because they never had an assessment to look at asbestos or anything like that. The theater there is pretty old, and they've been worried about it. So they use this grant to help them go in and take a look at that. Some people ask, how did we get all these properties? Why do we have this problem? Why we have these properties that, you know, are vacant or abandoned or don't turn over very frequently. And there's a wide variety of reasons. Here in northern Arizona, when the interstate freeway system came in back, you know, after World War II, and bypassed Route 66, that created hundreds of brownfield properties because Route 66 goes through the downtown of almost every city in northern Arizona. So overnight, when I-40 came in, you know, you had hundreds of gas stations and hotels and motels and restaurants that did not have the same customer base and didn't have as much exposure as they used to have before. And so there were a lot that closed or, you know, have problems making money. And there's still a lot of those that are out there that are just sitting, waiting for somebody to come in and do something new with them. But the thing about all of these properties is that they do tend to be a drag on the local economy. So if you've got properties that are out there that are vacant or abandoned or they're not being used, they're not creating jobs, they're not creating tax revenue, they're acting as a drag on investment, a disincentive for investment, and developers in particular, if there are a lot of brownfields in a community, will tend to go someplace else. They either go outside of town and look at properties that haven't ever been used for anything, or they'll go to another town entirely. So if you look along Route 66, some of the towns that have actually done a lot with their brownfields, Winslow is an example. They've had about 20 years of working on brownfields there and have managed to turn a lot of theirs into something else. You know, developers and investors like Winslow for that reason. Same thing with Flagstaff. But it doesn't mean just because you have a lot of brownfields that you can't work on them, and this grant does help. And once you redevelop these brownfields, then you almost immediately see some real positive economic impacts. Not only do you get job creation and you get tax revenue, but it improves property values. The data shows that property values go up by 5 to 15% when these brownfields get assessed. And for every $1 of brownfield grant funding that's spent on one of these brownfields, you have other investment from other sources of anywhere between $18 to $23 that help with redevelopment. So it's a significant positive force when you've got one of these grants. But they're very hard to get. They're nationally competitive, and there were only, I think, 30 that were awarded last year nationwide. So there were some states that didn't get them at all. As far as how this works, there's 3 or 4 different activities that can be done with the grant funding. Let me see. Can you make that a little bit larger, or go to slideshow, current slide? There we go. So the first activity is we do brownfield site inventories, and there has been one of these done, by the way, in Holbrook recently, within the last 2 or 3 years. But what we do is we ask the community, what area do you think, what area of town do you think most of your brownfields are maybe located? And then we'll go in and we'll look at publicly available information, like information that Arizona Department of Environmental Quality has, some information that EPA may have, that tell us where there were gas stations, where there were dry cleaners, where there were some of those things that we know might have environmental concerns. Then we'll look at county assessor records and we'll match that up with those various properties, so we know what the size of the property is, what the zoning is, that kind of thing. Then we'll go out and we'll actually drive by the property to see, is it for sale? Has it been redeveloped? Is it, you know, what's the condition of it currently? Is it currently being maintained by the property owner? And then, you know, we'll put together a list of those and ask communities to send letters out to the property owners just saying, hey, for your information, there is a grant that will give you free assessments with no obligation for follow-up. It's not an enforcement program. But if you're interested, it could help improve the value of your property and make it more attractive if you're looking to sell it or you want to get a bank loan for any particular reason. And in 2023, when the last inventory was done here in Holbrook, there were something like 40 brownfield properties, potential brownfield properties that were identified in the inventory. And I think to date, maybe one or two of those have actually been assessed and redeveloped. So there's room for doing more here. And the last grant that you guys had access to is gonna expire. Again, it came from Apache County. It's gonna expire end of September. But this one is up and running now, and starting October 1st, you can, anybody in Holbrook who wants to use this grant money can do that. And I'll get to exactly how that works in just a minute. But this was the focus area that Holbrook identified as where there might be brownfield properties here previously. You can see it's along Navajo and Hopi, and includes the corner of those two. And then there are some brownfields up on the hill. There's some old gas stations and things like that still up there. And sometimes people, you know, look at those pretty hard and think, hey, I could do something with this property. But there's still some that nobody has done anything with. And yeah, it might take money, but at the same time, they're in a good location, several of them. So we do the inventory, then we do community outreach and engagement with the last grant. And Randy, you probably know this, and I know the mayor does. We met with Chamber of Commerce, I think 3 different times, to talk about what the grant from Apache County involved and what the money could be used for. The same type of grant as this one. We will probably have another 1 or 2 meetings with this grant here in Holbrook in the future to let property owners know, hey, there's still money out there. It's just coming from a different source. It's still coming from EPA, but it's coming through Northern Arizona Council of Governments instead of Apache County. And it can still be used for all the same things that the last one could. So, you know, if you were waiting with the last grant to sign up and get your property assessed, there's still money available, but it's on a first come, first served basis, and it goes pretty quick. These grants hardly ever last as long as their stated term is when they're awarded. So they said this is available until September of 2028. It probably won't last that long. It'll probably last a couple of years. So we guess, you know, 2020 into 2026, this money might be gone. But the third thing we do when we have the community outreach and engagement meetings is we talk to property owners, and we tell them about what's called the site nomination form, which is just a 2-page form that they fill out if they want to get an assessment of their property. It's pretty simple. Just ask who's the property owner, what's the property being used for, has there ever been an assessment, what's the timing as far as when you might want to do something with the property, because occasionally we'll get a property that's in escrow, so we have to work fast to get the assessment done. But it's a very easy form to fill out. It takes most property owners about 10 minutes to fill it out. And then they send it into Northern Arizona Council of Governments, or my name and email is on here as well, since I'm their consultant. So they get it, I get it, and then the next thing we do is we, if it's an old building, say a building that was built before 1980, and the property owner wants to have us look for things like asbestos or lead-based paint, we take that to EPA and we say, can you review and approve this for an assessment? If it's an old petroleum site, like a gas station or an auto repair facility, then Arizona Department of Environmental Quality will review it and approve it. And there's very few sites that don't get approved. Generally, if you have a federal Superfund site, that's not eligible. If you got a property that's owned by the federal government, that's not eligible. And if you got a property where any potential contamination that's on the property is a result of activities that were done by the owner, then that's generally not eligible. So I'll give you an example. If you had an old gas station that was owned by a major oil company and they nominated that property for an assessment, EPA would not approve that. But if you had a mom and pop business or a husband and wife who wanted to buy a gas station and say, put in a gift shop or, you know, a bookstore, a coffee shop, you know, something like a Starbucks, but probably more local, that would be approved all day long because those folks never owned and operated that property as a gas station. They bought it after the gas station was closed, and they're not responsible for any contamination that was there. The three types of assessments are, we'll do a phase one environmental site assessment where we'll go out and we'll look at all the historical records of the property, like what used to be there according to the historical area photographs, the city directories. There are these things called Sanborn Fire Insurance Maps that were created for downtowns across the United States by the Sanborn Insurance Company. We'll look at those if they're available, and then we will also talk to the property owner and go out and look at existing conditions. And we're looking to see if there's something called a recognized environmental condition, which would be an indication that there might have been a release of petroleum or a hazardous substance. If there is, then the property owner can get a phase two environmental site assessment where we actually collect soil and groundwater samples and we send it to a lab. Phase ones cost about $5,000 if you had to pay for them yourself. A phase two can cost anywhere from $8,000 to $80,000 if you had to pay for that yourself. But if you sign up for this program, you got an eligible property, there's zero out of pocket cost to the property owner. They don't pay anything. And the same thing with the third type of assessment, which is a regulated building material assessment where we're looking for asbestos and lead-based paint in buildings. Those can be up to $40,000 depending on the size of the building. But you don't pay anything as the property owner if you sign up for this grant. And then we also sometimes do site reuse plans, things like that, to help property owners if they want to loan from a bank or somebody else to do something with their property. You know, those could cost you $8,000 to get like an engineering drawing of what you might want to develop your property into. But again, property owners that sign up for this can get those for free. And then we also do area-wide plans. And there's actually been an area-wide plan with this last grant that was done for Holbrook. And I think you have a copy of that, right, Randy? Yeah. So these are really good because they kind of look at a larger area and say, well, what kind of obstacles exist in like this several block long area of this community that discourages developers from coming in and investors from coming in and doing something here, buying property and spending money. And this is just an example of the site reuse plan we did for Winslow with the last NACOG grant And this is the cover of the area-wide plan that was done for Holbrook here. And that was completed last year. So you guys have taken advantage of this kind of money with the last grant, and I hope you and all the property owners here think about spending money from this grant as well. I'd love to see Holbrook get its fair share of this money this time around. And with that, I think I'll wrap up. Any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I do have a couple questions actually. I do want to say first and foremost that I am a big fan of NACOG. Particularly within my day job, I do a lot of referrals to your housing assistance program. For people who don't know, Catholic Charities also runs a lot of their financial assistance to put people in houses for rent. They'll pay first month's rent, they'll pay the deposits, a lot of times they'll pay for utilities. And if you can find the property these days, it's a great program to utilize, and I've utilized it several times, as well as I've seen other applications for elderly populations to be able to do maybe like a porch where they can get easy access to their property, and the applications are very simple, which I appreciate because sometimes people can get bogged down in things that are super complicated, or applications that are super complicated. But if I understand this correctly, so this is kind of this is paying for the assessment of it. In my mind, I'm saying, not knowing anything about this, I'm more social services driven, but this is an appraisal of the property with no obligation. If they find something like asbestos or something to the property, there's no obligation for them to treat that.
That's correct.
But where does that information then go? Like, how is it that then the assessment can impact the property value and increase it by 5 to 15%?
Well, a lot of times what happens is, again, with these properties, because they're older, people look at them and they go, oh, there's gotta be something wrong with this property. There's gotta be, some history here that is gonna be detrimental if I were to buy it. I don't know what it is, but I can just tell from looking at it, there's something wrong. And sometimes there's absolutely nothing. I would say probably 80% of the time, we find nothing that is gonna cause any sort of an issue with a future property owner. It looks potentially bad, and maybe it hasn't been well maintained, but it's never been used for anything nefarious, or there hasn't been any. It never was a gas station. It never was one of those sites that I talked about. And so there's nothing in the ground, there's nothing in the building that's gonna cause you an issue. And even if you do have asbestos, which people are like, oh my gosh, I don't wanna know. We work with the property owners a lot on those buildings and say, hey, a lot of your asbestos is in good shape. Just don't disturb it and you're perfectly fine. Or put up some drywall over it, leave it in place, don't disturb it. It's not an issue. And if it is a problem, we can help get it removed. Not with this grant, but there are other funds. And certainly if it's a city-owned property, or it's a county-owned property, it's owned by a nonprofit, the state will pay to clean those up. But sometimes we can also find developers who are interested in buying old buildings, even if they have asbestos, just because there's not a whole lot that's there and it's all in good shape. So we can connect, buyers with some of the property owners if they want to sell their property, and we can prove that there's nothing there that should diminish property values. And in some cases, we have seen property owners that raise their property rates or raise their sale price after they get one of these assessments, because it came back showing that the property was in much better shape than even they thought.
And then do you turn around and use this data to identify potential sources of funding to maybe enhance services at a later time, look for potential grants?
We can do that, yes.
Yeah.
We have in several cases helped communities that have gotten like area-wide plans, go out and get grants and loans and things like that from state and federal governments, to pay for some of the recommendations that are in the area-wide plan. Because the thing about putting together something like that that says, here's how to deal with some of your older properties and to deal with things like your transportation network or your water or sewer or things like that. It's fine to say all that in a plan, but if you can't also help a community get the money to pay for that, then the plan's not worth the paper it's written on, and we don't ever want to do that. So I would say with the area-wide plan that's already been produced for Holbrook, that would be the next step, would be to sit down and say, okay, which of these strategies and recommendations that were in the plan that was finished last year does Holbrook want to move forward with, and let us help you find some money to pay for those.
And then if they identify something wrong and then they turn around and the property owner fixes it, will you guys come back out and do another assessment?
We generally don't, but you know, I would be willing to do that if there's somebody that, you know, contacted me after the fact and said, hey, you know, I'd like to you know, get an update on what you've done. The phase 1 environmental site assessments generally are only good for 6 months anyway. So if somebody said, hey, I thought I was gonna sell my property, but it took me 9 months to list it, and in the meantime I fixed some things, we definitely would go back out and do another phase 1 with this grant funding for no cost to them, and yeah, so that they could have a current, up-to-date record of what was at the property.
I think that was all my questions, and like I said, I really do appreciate NACOG. Your ombudsman program is really fantastic. They have a lot of people that aren't familiar with NACOG. They have a lot of really good resources, financial resources, grant opportunities for impoverished people, and I just appreciate the work that NACOG does.
And they've managed to use this grant program on some of those as well. For example,
wow.
They've used in Winslow, they used this grant to go in and do an assessment on the Head Start school that's there. And so, you know, the school was getting ready to do some remodeling, and they didn't know that they were, that the contractor they had hired was gonna rip out a bunch of asbestos while the kids were still in session. And so we got there just in time and said, wait a minute, give us, you know, a few days to go in and do some sampling and see, because we don't, you know, that doesn't make sense to expose anybody to stuff while you're doing a renovation. And it was because NACOG also provided funding to the Head Start school that they were able to make that happen with this grant. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Mayor, did you have any questions for Mr. Laney?
No, but just a thank you, Mr. Laney, for all your work and support for Holbrook and the area-wide plan for everything, but we're gonna be still calling you and have you back again.
Okay, that
But
sounds.
thank you, we do appreciate you.
Well, thank you, and I've enjoyed working with you all here, and looking forward to doing some more work now that we have another grant that you guys can access.
Well, thank you, Mr. Laney.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the lift station coatings. Randy, would you address that for us? That's tab
Yes.
4.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, Council. We went out to bid, the city has 7 lift stations. During our last audit with ADEQ, we've noticed some of our lift station, the walls are crumbling just from deterioration of the gases in those lift stations that happen. We identified 3 lift stations that needed repaired. So we went out to bid, opened up the bids. We had a mandatory bid meeting, which 2 companies showed up. We did site visits on those 3 lift stations so they knew what they were getting into, and 1 bid came back. And I am asking council to spend and approve funds of $65,203 to Clean Infusion to recoat those 3 lift stations.
And so, Mr. Sullivan, if nothing happens, they continue to deteriorate and they'll fall in on themselves, right?
Yeah.
And so this is preserving these lift stations for another 20 years?
Yeah. So currently what's happening is, as water comes in and the debris starts crusting off of those walls, it's heavier than the water, so it's automatically gonna hit to the bottom, and it'll build a bunch of silt and stuff around our pumps, and then so it wears our pumps out a lot faster too, because eventually that silt's gonna get sucked up into those pumps, and those impellers will wear out. So in theory, by recoating these lift stations, it'll provide a better maintenance on our lift station pumps and motors.
Okay. Has everyone reviewed this? Do I need to read it by? Anyway, is there a motion to approve Clean Fusion water and wastewater service in the amount of $65,203 to refab 3 of our lift stations?
I make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
We can just vote, right? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So it's unanimous.
Thank you, that'll be nice.
So that takes us to the Arizona Office of Tourism only recognizes one designated marketing organization, or a DMO. Per established community requires that the DMO must be recognized by the municipality. No DMO has been indicated for the city of Holbrook at this point, and we have missed our deadline to recognize the city with AOT. Renewal of DMO affidavits will only be required when a change in the DMO designation occurs or upon the request of AOT. The Navajo County Historical Society, who's here, has informed staff of this item and requested that we designate them as the destination marketing organization for the city of Holbrook. The financial implications are increased grant opportunities from the Department of Tourism, Arizona Department of Tourism, and the alternatives are designate the city of Holbrook, and through MOUs designate other organizations that can maximize potential and help eliminate duplication effort. Mr. Sullivan, if you'd address this first, and then if the people from the Historical Society would like to say something after.
Yeah, so reaching out, Sherry Reed brought this to my attention. They are our designated tourist information center. And so they were recommending that they would be on the DMO list. After looking at all of this information from the Office of Tourism and looking at all the other cities that are designated DMOs, I hope this isn't offending the chamber at all, because I think we work very well together. But I would actually recommend that the council designate the city of Holbrook, and then through the MOUs, we would designate the chamber as that tourism site. And then that way we could be the lead for the funding, help them out, and still work in partnership. They are a volunteer board, so they're gonna be thinned out. They do an amazing job. But I think at this point, if we just made our name that, then we'd be the consistent force in that, and then we'd be able to identify them and help them as that chamber board. That'd be my recommendation.
Mayor,
Okay.
whenever he's through.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm looking through these, and I've read all these pretty good. I agree with Ray. I appreciate Sherry's hard work on all this and going through this. I appreciate her bringing this to our attention. But, and I do think the city and the Historical Society work great together, and I want to see that continue. But I agree with Randy on this. I want the city of Holbrook to be over this and be able to designate what's happening with it.
I actually had written that same thing down. What would be the implications of, because tourism it benefits us economically as the city of Holbrook, we would be entrusting Navajo County to grant money that would then benefit the city where we don't have any direct involvement or authority over some of those decisions. With the exception of, I did have a question, is the Historical Society a nonprofit?
Yes.
So that does create more opportunity for them as far as grant opportunities are concerned. But I still feel like it should probably stay with the city, and that was gonna be my recommendation as well.
Thank you, Mr. Bergson. Mrs. DeFoya, did you have a?
I don't think I have anything. I mean, I agree that I think the city should oversee this.
Ms. Pacheco? Okay.
Else-
So, Mr. Colon?
So, the Navajo County Historical Society is a not-for-profit 501c
Come to the
organization.
podium.
Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Eric Colon, President of the Navajo County Historical Society. This is Sherry Reed, our Director. The Navajo County Historical Society is a 501c organization that uses funding from grants and public and private donations. For the past, over the past couple decades, we have been operating as Holbrook's Information Center and tourist facility. We have 12 to 15,000 visitors that come to the historic courthouse each year, and we have staff there that's on board full-time that give information on the various things to do, businesses and stuff in Holbrook and the surrounding areas, including national parks and the public areas. We work with the Arizona Office of Tourism, and the Arizona Office of Tourism had said there was not a designated marketing organization on their record, and that's why we came to the city to respectfully request that we are already been doing the job, that we be designated as the designated marketing organization for tourism. That's what designated marketing organizations are known as tourism authorities. The appointment will enable the Navajo County Historic Society at the museum to secure advertisement opportunities with the Arizona Office of Tourism, as well as seek out advertising grant opportunities. As a non-for-profit, we would be able to solicit more grants than a private industry or even a municipal or government organization. And that would further benefit the community and ultimately all the businesses and the residents of Holbrook and the surrounding areas. And that's why Sherry had reached out to the city just to be designated to do the job that we've already been doing. We hand out tons of pamphlets and flyers on the various activities that are going on. We really recently acquired a historic locomotive that we put on display, and we even have more visitors because of it. We're working on other displays. We've done several displays. If you haven't been to the museum in the past couple of years, you really ought to check it out. There's been some huge strides, and well, that's why we came to the city to get designated to continue doing the great job that we've been doing.
Thank you, Mr. Colon. Ms. Reed, did you have anything to
As a
add?
side note, it was the Arizona Office of Tourism that recommended that since we are the face of the visitor center, that we set this forward for the opportunity to be able to access possibly access and be approved for some of the advertising grants that they have available for Arizona Office of Tourism Visitor Centers. I am born and raised in Holbrook. Did move away for a little while, but came back. So whatever we would ever do with advertisement, we would definitely consult the city, because we want to highlight not only the museum and that visitor center, which is what the grant is for, we wanna make sure that we focus with Holbrook. Cause that's all we do is tell people, okay, you're gonna go to Petrified Forest, you're coming back, how about this, 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 and this? So we're always selling Holbrook, if you will. So that's why I put this forward, because you have to be officially appointed as a DMO before you can access those grants. And we have to leave it up to you to make that decision.
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
I'm still back where I was before, because I still appreciate you guys doing what you do. But I think we can still work together with the city, and you can still do the same stuff you've been doing. It's just that the city will be able to oversee what's happening, and I think that's the city's responsibility. So I'm still back to where we were before.
I have a question. So you state the city's gonna oversee what we're doing, but is the city going to be applying for the grants, for the advertising? Because we can't apply for them if the city is the DMO. And that was the whole purpose of us trying to get this, is because there is grant there that we want to apply for, so that we could get some money to do some more advertising for the museum, for the town, for the hotels, for the restaurants in town, to keep the people here, to keep them from going to Winslow or going to some of the Flagstaff. And so we already know about the grants, we already know about the advertising opportunities. That's why we came to the city to begin with. My question to the city council and to city staff is, do you have somebody already designated that's gonna do the work that we've already been doing?
I think that's up to Randy and the administrative staff, but I feel fairly certain that we can find somebody to work with you and help you do that.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes, Mayor?
So, sorry if I'm interrupting, I got a little bit of a lag. So, I too, along with Councilman Black, really want to express my thanks to the Historical Society. They've been doing a fantastic job, and I do appreciate that. And I understand where Mr. Cologne's coming from. Couple things though, because I agree with the majority of the council that I've heard, that I do strongly believe that it should be the city organization as the designated marketing organization, and continue with that MOU with the Historical Society. They're great as a visitor site, and they're doing the flyers and things like that, which are fantastic. But as a designated marketing organization, we need to think bigger picture, bigger scale. And I know, working with the Arizona Office of Tourism, a lot of their grants are even still a match base, right? 50/50. So it's expensive. And the city's going to be able to have access to a lot of the same grants that the Historical Society will in the chamber where. But the thing is, we do have a marketing guy, and if you've been on Facebook recently or Instagram, we're doing a big marketing push right now. And so I think we've got the capacity to expand it and to really, focus on, hey, come to our visitor center. We can't do this without the organizations of the visitor center and any other organization in Holbrook. But to their point, and they did bring it to us, which I appreciated, but that kind of also showed a lag in communication when it's somebody not the city. It's harder for us, I think, because there's a lot more turnaround sometimes in volunteer organizations. So when that lapsed with whoever the designated, the DMO was before, if there was a change in guard at one of the nonprofits or the Historical Society, the city's not necessarily in the know that lapsed, and we would have had a chance to jump in on it too. So I think there'd be more consistency as far as making sure there wasn't a lapse in the designation moving forward as well. So I believe that we can continue to work together, and everybody said, we are thankful for the work, and I think if we continue to work collaboratively, we can do more together. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
I only wanna thank you for the opportunity to try, but at least you guys will take it forward and go for it. We're happy to help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all we can say.
I have a
Thank you.
question real quick though. When they had said that they're the Historical Society, does it say anywhere it's also the Visitor Center? Are they technically the Visitor Center?
They're technically the visitor center of Holbrook.
We
Okay.
have to send in monthly reports, and
But
we've been
is
doing
there-
that for years.
Is there anywhere where it states that? Like if you were driving through town, it says
Yes,
Yeah,
Holbrook
there's several
Visitor Center?
signs.
there's signs coming from the west into Holbrook saying the Holbrook, or the Arizona Visitor Center, because it's the Arizona Visitor Center. We're the host. And so we have all the brochures at the front door and the back door. We also have to keep a count of all the visitors that come through the door. We have to file a report on that, the volunteer hours involved, and a whole host about the calls, the emails, inquiries, that kind
Staff.
of thing.
They have, to have our host staff, Dawn Sawyer, who's been there for
12 years.
12 years at least.
Roughly. So we have the staff there, we're doing the job, they've done it, I think back in, Kathleen, you may, or Mayor, you should, you probably know exactly the year, but it was between 2011, I don't know, 2011 to 2014, when the city manager, mayor at the time, and my predecessor, Joanne Fox, they had a discussion, and the chamber was involved. And the way I understand it, I say in the minutes where the city manager made a decision that the chamber would get some calls regarding if they needed help finding a special visitor motel accommodations, but we handled everything else. So I'm not sure why that came about, but that's how it kind of went out, and I was talking to the past director of chamber, and she said they get maybe one call a year on that, but we get the bulk of it. But we are technically the Arizona Visitor Center in the building.
So to answer your specific question, there are two blue signs at both ends of town. It has an arrow, and it says Visitor Information Center with an arrow pointing towards the courthouse. Once you get to the courthouse on both the Navajo Boulevard on the north side and also on Navajo Boulevard and Arizona, there are signs that say Arizona Holbrook Visitor Center and Arizona Information Center. We've been doing the job for decades, and when people come through to town, they want to see the memorials and now the train, and they want to see the jail and all this other stuff.
And then they pick up all the brochures and plus bathroom.
And plus the bathroom break, right? And maps, I think the biggest requested item from the visitors are maps. They all want maps of where to go, where's the back roads, because not everyone uses the digital
And the walking
navigation.
the walking tours of Holbrook, we get that out, and information about some of our buildings, our historic buildings. We provide that information.
I see. Thank you. I do
Thank you.
think we need to get those MOUs that we've discussed and get those moving again.
I was gonna say if we have a really strong interagency agreement, there's no reason why both organizations can't benefit from it, even if we're
Right,
designated.
right, I
Because grant funders love collaboration, especially between a government entity and a nonprofit organization. I still feel pretty strongly that the city of Holbrook should be over this, but that doesn't take away from all of the hard work you guys have done over the years. I mean, it's amazing what you guys have done, and I sincerely appreciate
I'm
all
just
of
glad
that.
it came to light so we
Yes.
can help somebody.
And I think we could work out a really strong interagency agreement where if you even identify funds, we could figure out a way to run those through, apply for those through the city, together, and just work collaboratively to help both of our organizations.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Reed, Mr. Cool. So is there a motion to designate either the Navajo County Historical Society or the City of Holbrook as the designated marking organization for the City of Holbrook? Is there a motion?
I think you need to look at how you read that, Mike. Let me see. Lisa?
Yeah.
What's the best way to go?
Well, it shows it right here under alternatives.
Right, under alternatives, we can
Right.
designate the city of Holbrook,
Right,
and through MOUs designate other organizations. But what this is, what the motion would be, do we designate the city of Holbrook, or the Arizona Department, or the Navajo County Historical Society? Is there a motion
okay,
to go one or the other?
I make a motion that we designate the city of Holbrook to be the MOU in this case.
And then
DMO.
DMO.
DMO, sorry.
And through MOUs designate
Other
other
Yes.
organizations.
Yes.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second. Is this a roll call or we,
It's up to you if you wanna call a roll call, or we can just do all in favor.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and I'm one nay, so motion carries.
You were nay, did you say?
Yes. Okay, that takes us to the summary of current events. So in the mayor's absence, I'd like to say that a lot of us, last week, we attended the League of Arizona Cities and Towns, and it was a very fruitful conference. I think we all gained something, more understanding of the law or the opportunities that are abounding. And I think that was the most significant thing for me. Mayor, would you like to add to that?
No, I agree. I appreciate those that were able to attend the league conference. It's always good to educate ourselves on what's going on, like you said, on the state level, and also to collaborate with potential other entities, and to also see what our neighbors are doing as well, to get good practices and best practices from them. So thank you guys for being able to attend and sacrifice your time to be able to go.
Did you want to summarize any other current events, Mayor?
No, that's all for tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Black?
Yeah, I enjoyed the conference. I wish there was more stuff for rural things than what there are, but all in all, it was good. Several comments on the water trucks out on McLeod Road filling up. I've had a lot of citizens comment on that. I mean, I know, correct me if I'm wrong there, but that is, they're backed up solid from early in the morning till late in the afternoon getting water. I'm hearing it takes 45 minutes to fill up those trucks, which is 5,000 gallons. But I'm still concerned on our payment for those. I mean, it's all on what'd you tell me, how do they do it for the city?
It's kind of on an honor system. We give them logs, company logs.
And I'm concerned that I don't think that's a good way of doing it. Because, that's gonna keep on going now because they're building another one of those solar. There's 3 of them going in out there. They're just working on the first one now. So they're gonna be taking a lot of water out of here. And I would like to see something done different than an honor system there. But moving forward, I guess. That's all I got.
Thank you. So according to your calculation, we're filling those trucks at 110 gallons a minute. Is that about right, Mr. Sullivan?
I don't know how, I know we put a 7.5 horsepower motor in there,
Well,
so I don't know.
here's what I'm hearing,
So,
okay?
this is the time for the report, so we can't really discuss.
Right, we can't, sorry.
Yes.
I was out of order.
That's okay.
Ms. Ferguson.
So I was able to attend the conference last week. I was very grateful to have done that. One thing I had learned that in one of the trainings I had attended that I thought I would share is right now everybody probably knows that the Trump's big beautiful bill has passed Congress, and as an impact one of the impacts of that will be potential cuts to Medicaid programs. And one of the trainings I had gone to
had mentioned that they've already seen a huge drop in people eligible for Medicaid. Medicaid, for those who don't know, is access to, access and Medicaid are the same thing, but they've already seen eligible people who qualify drop their benefits. They think on the premise that there's not funding out there, and they made it clear that any funding that takes place from that federal budget probably won't hit the state of Arizona until about 2028. So if people are eligible for Medicaid or access, still apply. The benefits are the same as normal. Keep your insurance as long as possible. Another thing I wanted to mention is there's an organization out of Pine Top Lakeside. It's called the Center, capital R, capital E, and then Center, and they're another great, super great social services program, and they actually are working on a Navajo and Apache County wide resource manual, and I have QR codes here that I could pass out to the council. But if you have an organization, you run a nonprofit, it's anything, it's food banks, it's businesses, anybody can be added to this resource directory, and they're kind of taking it upon themselves to collaborate and get all of this information, not only that, but sustain it and maintain it to make sure it's always accurate. So if you are in need of somebody to help your father apply for Social Security, you can come to this resource guide and get local help for our area. So I wanted to share that information as well. And then the last thing I wanted to share is Arizona Complete Health has instituted a crisis hotline for mental health and substance abuse people, community members. So you don't have to call law enforcement if you're dealing with somebody who might be in the midst of some type of SMI or some substance abuse issue. You can actually call 988, which is a mental health resource guide, but we actually have, this has been a program that has been operating in Maricopa County, Pima County, and they finally have come to Navajo and Apache County. Actually, law enforcement is using them as well. They have a direct line when they identify that somebody is maybe suffering from some type of substance abuse issue, opposed to actually a criminal activity. They actually bring in counselors that crisis respond on scene to help and address and assess their needs and help them get the treatment that they need. And so I have wanted to let you know that is out there as well.
Thank you. That's Mrs. Hefner's agency, right?
Yes, Allison
Right.
Hefner, yep.
Mr. Tafoya.
Yes, the conference was really good. There were a lot of different sessions that helped, but like Robert said, they just do not ever have enough for rural communities. It's all the metropolitan and stuff like that. But you still get a little bit of something from those as well. But and on Thursday night they always have a showcase of cities and towns, and it's just, you can walk around and all the different cities are giving out things to represent their town and stuff. And so we took a basket down, and I just want to give a shout out to El Rancho for their donation that they gave me for the basket, and also the Men's Association for the donation. We focused on the golf course and put like golf balls and a Hidden Cove hat and different things like, and tickets to rounds of golf and stuff in there, and so it turned out really nice. And when I went back to our booth, it was like one of the first baskets, because they had several, and ours was one of the first ones that got picked from when they drew the winners. So it's really nice to participate in those and get our city out there.
It's a fun time that night.
It is a lot of fun that night. It's my favorite part.
Mr. Pacheco.
I just wanted to let everyone know that there's a volleyball tournament this weekend in Window Rock, Friday and Saturday, and a football game at home. And the concession sales will be benefiting the high school choir program. And red cards are available to contact the Booster Club or a football player.
So tell us a little bit about the red cards.
It's a discount card for some of the businesses in town.
And how much are they?
15.
$15, and you contact a member of the football team?
The football team has them, and the Booster Club.
And the Booster Club.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you. I'm trying to find the flyer too, but the Booster Club is also hosting a night golf tournament wanna say it's September 4th.
I believe
Um,
that's what it is,
What's that?
the 4th.
Yeah, September 4th. So I encourage the public to help. All proceeds go to the Booster Club for uniforms and those kind of things. It's a $50 entry fee, and pizza and wings are included, I think. So that's out there. I wanted to remind council and the public that there's no meeting during September 10th because of the Fair Week. We encourage everyone to go to that. And then I wanted to let everybody know that I am going to ask to excuse myself on September 24th meeting. My wife is having surgery, so I need to be home for that. We still will plan an agenda, and I'll try to have somebody else fill in for me on staff. The street crew is working really hard on getting ready for that chip seal project now. We're only 3 weeks away, so we're gonna be doing a lot of skin patching, a lot of bigger patches that may need to be done, weeding in any of the cracks on any of those streets. So we've gone heavy focus to those streets. The millings pile is done so far. We may get some more depending on how another project on 377 gets awarded on their bid. But we are encouraging residents that if they want to pick it up, haul it themselves, they're welcome to use those millings for helping us lay out the alleyway to try to mitigate weeds for us. It's a win-win. So we won't have any staff there to load it, but if anybody wants them and they can load it themselves, we have small stockpiles on the west side, so it's on the McLaws Road side, that those piles will be available for anybody to use.
Just for clarification, and we're talking at the water station, right, on McLaws Road?
Yeah, it's gonna be on the corner of Apache and McLaws Road. There's a huge pile there.
Okay.
And on the back side of that, so on the west side of that pile is where those millings will be available.
And so it's free to anybody
That can load it.
in our city that could come and load it?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
I wanted to give a shout out to Walker Gonzalez. He is he's redone our website, and he's also doing some marketing plans for us. So he's gonna be out. If we have any ideas to give Walker to do little clips to help advertise. He just did one on the cemetery where we're raising headstones. He did one for the Historical Society. It was really cool. So we're probably going to be doing one at the petroglyphs and some of those kind of things to help start promoting Holbrook as much as we can. He's really excited doing it, and I think the videos that he's put out so far have gotten quite a few hits. They've been pretty cool. We are starting the new ball field over there as well. So we are leveling that out, redoing sprinkler heads that might have gotten broke from 7 years of sitting or whatever. We're actually hoping to get that laser lined and hopefully get a fall seeding in by the end of September. So what we'll plan on doing, we're marking it out, we got it leveled out. We'll try to do a fall seeding, and then we'll do a spring seeding, and then hopefully it'll be available to use next summer, if not the following summer. But
Are you gonna put fence then all the way
well,
around?
right, eventually we could do that, but right now we're allowing it so we can laser level it, and that way we can allow equipment to come in. I met with Chris Pastures and Hunter Moore today. They're with Real Easy Corridor. They are kind of revamping their priorities for the next 2 years. They try to do that every 2 years. And so I met with them. They wanted to invite the council to their next meeting on the 11th in Snowflake. Mayor Smith is doing a presentation during that meeting. And just a shout out to Real AZ. they are growing really big. When they first started, they were pretty small. Holbrook wasn't the best participant in that either. But since 2022, they have really expanded. They invite all businesses that want to be involved with Real AZ to help grow, to be members of that. So I wanted to do a shout out to the public for that. They APS is always involved with Real AZ. A lot of these new solar companies that are coming in, they're part of Real AZ, and their real focus is to try to grow Holbrook, and they're real business oriented. So really good job with Chris and Hunter Moore and that board, what they're doing. I think they're doing some really good things.
And what time is the meeting on the 11th?
It's a lunch meeting, so it'll be
In Snowflake?
yeah, noon.
At Eva's.
At Eva's. It's always at Eva's. So if there are going to be more than 3 of you guys, let Lisa know so we can post that. But I will forward you, because we have several new councilmen on this, that area-wide plan that Dave was talking about. We are starting to work and present some of those ideas through that plan to P&Z. That's the first step, and then once we get P&Z's recommendations, some of those, you guys will start seeing some of those recommendations come before you. I will go get bids for another dispensing system out there. We've been getting ready to install that one that we bought last year. So when that one gets installed, in the meantime, I'll go get bids, and I'll be bringing those back to you guys for a better system out there.
Dispensing what?
That for that standpipe. That standpipe.
Okay.
So see those bids coming to you guys shortly. Hopefully next month I can present something like that to you guys. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Are there any submissions of written petitions for items not on the agenda?
There are none.
I don't think we want to go into
No.
executive session. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'm not going to adjourn.
I'll
Is
second
there a
it.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And so we'll see everybody in 4 weeks, because we won't be here for the week of the fair.
I forgot to announce this too. I did I put this in your guys' box because this has been a hot topic. That where we're at on the attorney's fees so far this year, and I gave you some documentation. So look through it. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Come talk to me. We can go through them.
Thank you.